Son and Pop Co-op here. Pop is here. We're going to play some Kerbal Space program. The Kerbal Space program is actually used by educators to teach rocket science and orbital mechanics because it uses actual physics engines. Now I'm playing a campaign mode that ignores the fundraising, the administration building, and focuses on the science. I've also increased the amount of science points I get for conducting science because I found it was a little too slow. I wanted to be able to increase the ability to use better parts more quickly because, well, reasons. Because with better parts you can fly better missions. So I've already built this guy. Kerbal multi-lander. Now one thing that I wanted to do before I launch this guy, sure that these legs I added the stabilization ring here. I forgot to pull down the legs last time and I ended up crashing. So let's try this again. Let's go ahead and launch. One of the things that I have added to my craft and I got in the R&D tree is something called mechanical jeb. Mechanical jeb is basically Jebediah Kerman. His brain, basically it's an assist for the whole program. So I have surface info telling me the altitude, my heading, my speed, whatnot. Don't need that right now. I've got orbit info, which I don't need because I'm not actually in orbit. My delta V stats. This is the actual amount of thrust I'm getting from each of my different stages. I have 2 solid rocket boosters on either side. I have 2 liquid boosters as well as the main engine in here in the middle. And what's interesting about these guys is there's a fuel valve that feeds fuel from these tanks into here to operate this engine. So these guys will burn out and fall away, and this will continue to push with a full tank. The other thing we have is something called the ascent guidance. This will assist in liftoff. Liftoff is actually fairly simple, but some ships get a little wobbly and bouncy and it gets hard to control because you want to get it to go out at exactly 90 degrees to get a nice flat. See, when I did it manually I was a little off, whereas he's out there, Jebediah Kerman, stuck in orbit. So we're going to be launching into the day sky and we're going to want to go out to Mun. That's my target. So I want to actually launch in a nice flat, and by flat it means not elliptical, it's got to be in the same plane as the moon. Nice flat orbit. So I want to go to 90 degrees and follow the rotation of the planet, just like they do at Cape Canaveral, launching out over the Atlantic Ocean, which this is not. But you'll see. So let's see, we're set to limit the Q. It'll actually throttle back when the air pressure gets to a certain level. The acceleration is limited to 2.5 Gs. Corrective steering, auto stage, which means it'll automatically launch the stages. So we're good to go. Show the ascent. This is the direction we want to go. Engage the autopilot. Countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just like they did with NASA, right? There's the ball. I'm not touching any controls at this point. And the 97 degrees is slightly off. So it's going to want to lean out towards the ocean, which is that way. Ascent is limited to 5 degrees. So it's leaning, but it's not leaning very heavily. Here's the ascent path. Just drop the silicon boosters. Winglets here help because we're still in the atmosphere to control your speed. Direction. I found that I didn't have lose control at this point because my only other control point is up here. This is the ability assist system, right up the top of the reactor control system. That's the RCS and the SAS, respectively. These tanks are almost dry. I'm about to lose these engines here. This tank is full, so it's still another 1,600 meters per second. At this point, even though I've told them to go up to 200 kilometers, the ascent guidance wants to go down. It's actually heading down. It's trying to do something weird to circularize this orbit. So I'm going to take over. This is the autopilot. Turn on the SAS. Tell it to go prograde. Those numbers refer to how high the apoapsis is. The bottom of the orbit is actually way inside the planet. That's the periapsis. Once both of them are outside, you've got an orbit. Let's see, it's about 105. I'm going to let MechJeb circularize it for me, because it can do that. Let's see, circularize at apoapsis. So I'm still going up. That's why I was able to turn the engines off. And once it gets here, it'll do another burn to make the orbit round. And of course, this is exactly what real rockets do. 809, 90, 938, so it's pretty close. Should be over 2,000 to actually be in orbit. If I hadn't just clicked these pieces together, we'd actually calculated things properly like they do in real rocket science at the space agency, then I would have achieved orbit exactly as this emptied. I still have, how much fuel's in there? 20 liters in this one, 20 liters in this one. Well, okay, you could say they're almost empty. And now we're in orbit. 111 APO, 109 Perry. That's not bad. 0.002, 0.28 inclination. You can see it's quite flat compared to the one that I did manually, with poor old Jebediah Kerman here. Hey Jebediah Kerman, sitting in here where he has been for the last 10 days. 10 days. 10 days, poor guy. One of these days, since he can actually get out of his ship, I'm going to EVA him across to another ship. But I got to figure out how to dock and maneuver. And plus I need to get a ship that's got a bigger crew capacity. Let's see. So let's go back to my multi-lander. There we go. Since we're in space, we're in orbit, I'm going to open up the solar panels and get some power into this guy. So don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Don't need that. Extend my antenna right through the craft. Okay, that's realistic. I can transmit data, which uses up electric charge, but I've got a big battery right here, plus the solar panels, which are now hidden. No, that's the Mac Jeb. There's the barometer. Log the data, transmit it. Oh, and the crew report. Transmit that. We all done? Then at this point, I think it's time to travel to the moon. Now the unique thing about this is you can actually manually change your orbit. I'll show you how. You click anywhere on the orbit, add a maneuver. And these are the different directions, the different cardinal angles you can thrust. So that is with your path, against your path, in towards the object you're orbiting, or away from it, and then up and down. And you notice that that changes your inclination. You pull in or out, it'll change the angle of your orbit, and if you pull it left or back, it'll go up or down. Let me get rid of that. What I wanted to do is we want to get to the moon out here. So if I add a maneuver, and we're going to just, no, not that way. We're just going to pull it straight out. A little too far. A little more. Until it reaches the orbit of the moon, and then if I grab the whole thing and drag it around, at some point here, there we go, there's a moon encounter. And so just simply doing this, I can create a very simple transfer orbit that'll put me in orbit of the moon. And I've done that. However, there's a much better way to do it once you've got the R&D to purchase the tech. Because this thing, what's it giving me? An 825.9 meter burn in 16 minutes. If I do it like this, it gets something very close. So in 17 minutes, 835 minutes, and there's my encounter. This will do it more precisely, and it stays more flat. When you start stretching these things around, it's doable, but it's tricky. Let's go back to my ship and watch as it goes into the shadow of the planet. The ISS, when it's behind the planet, you don't get video from it because it's dark. Planets cast big shadows, in case people were wondering. Starting before the node, burning past the node because it's a long burn. So if you watch here, and so you can see this, the blue path there is the actual orbit that I'm on. The dotted line here will give me the orbital path that I will take after the burn. And what's really cool is if you go all the way out here, look at 1. After passing 1, this is the path that I would have. This is called a gravitational slingshot, which would actually fling me into Kerbal escape orbit. Burning. So there's the moon over there. The sun behind the planet. Purple like that did some weird things because the final result in this particular case is an escape trajectory. Would actually fling us past the moon into an escape trajectory that goes out here somewhere. We would still be in orbit of the sun, but this orbit would be out here. I don't want to do that, so what we're going to do is I'm going to fine-tune the approach to come within 200 kilometers. And there's a course correction halfway at about 23 meters per second. What's nice about this is it'll time warp me. See, there's my ship still traveling. There's the moon, which I'm not traveling directly towards. I'm facing backwards towards the course correction. And there's the correction. There we go. So that after encountering the moon, instead of being fired off into deep space, I'm now in a orbit back around Kerbal. However, we're not going to do that when we actually encounter the moon over here. It's over there. When we actually encounter it over here, we will do another correction. If I can add the maneuver here. Add maneuver and actually add a maneuver here 5 hours and 30 minutes for another burn. Yeesh. Space travel's slow. Speed it up by 1,000 times. So you can actually see I'm getting further away from that and closer to that. It doesn't show up so well because of the position of the sun. Well, at least I get a nice view of the moon, or Kerbal. Not such a good view of the moon. Well, let's drop my trajectory onto the lunar trajectory. You notice how it just switched view? Because that was a view of it as it slingshotted around the moon. The moon's actually over there. So, because I did it over there, this isn't correct. I'm going to get rid of that. And just tell it to circularize this sucker. There we go. We'll take the PE and turn it into an orbit. See the moon yet? Oh my goodness, yes you can. You can see it really well now. We now have a nice round orbit around the moon. Is it time for some science? Oh, this one's directly behind. Not the best position. But anyways, let's see. Open up the service bay. What I could do. The spacecraft doesn't care at this point what orientation it's in. Measuring the temperature of space appears to be quite impossible, as there's no matter around to be either hot or cold except the spacecraft and the thermometer itself. This is probably going to give the R&D guys something to think about for a while. Zero recovery. I've already done this one before. Just like the pressure data. It reads 0 as if we were in vacuum. Well, yeah. Alright, no science to be done here. Sigh. Okay. The next step is to land. Since I still have lots of fuel on board this thing here, I'm going to try and burn it all. So tell this guy to go retrograde. 449.8. Yeah, okay, I can burn that off. It'll put me into an impact orbit with the planet. There it is. Slowed myself down. I've lost that stage. Now it's time to actually land. Let's see. I'm going to use the landing guidance. Let's pick a spot inside a crater close to where we're actually aimed at. The bottoms of the craters are generally relatively flat. Good. I can see Kerbal. I can see the sun. And the ground is relatively well lit. Now we just gotta hope that this program knows enough to actually slow this thing down before we hit the ground. Let's see. Surface info. 14 clicks. Up and what are we doing? Hovering? What the heck? She's going down. Look at the face on the Kerbal here. She's got a huge grin on her face. Oh my god, it's the moon. It's the moon. I'm gonna land on the moon. Toggle the SAS to hold it stable. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. And that. Collected and recorded temperature data from the environment. Sweet. Let's see. Pressure data. Sure, whatever. Observe the mystery goo. Alright, well, let's keep the data. Crew report. Yay! Oof. Get up. Whee. Turn it off. Look at her face. Oh my god. Yeah, it's a girl. Look at the eyelashes. Wow. Take a surface sample. Okay. Look up and search the sky for Kerbin. Suddenly you feel very small. Where's Kerbin anyways? Is it visible? If it is, it would be right on the horizon. Except we're in the bottom of craters, so no, it's not. There it is. Yep. Just can't see Kerbin. Plant the flag. Ta-da! Tranquility Base. The Kerbin? The Kerb man. Sorry, woman has landed. How high can you jump? Can you jump high enough to get back into that thing? So, we landed on Kerbin, we did some experiments. Planted a flag. What's left to do? Well, the next stage would be to go home. We'll leave that for the next video. This is Son and Pop Co-op. Landed on Kerbal with my Kerbal man or woman. Sitting on the moon. And this is actually only a one-person lander, very crude. So we'll have to make something even better next time. Perhaps a two-man ship that I can go up and rescue Jebediah. Son&PopCo-OP, thanks for watching Kerbal Space program. Goodbye.